You guys want to hear something completely insane? Yes? Okay, you're gonna have to hear it anyways. I was able to take home more in a year than the CEOs of McDonald's, IKEA, Ford, and Yahoo combined for over half a decade. And to be honest, no one's more surprised than I am about this outcome. And so me expressing this will create envy in some people, it will create anger in others, skepticism in most, confusion in old people, and inspire a select few. And so the select few, you are who I'm making this for. Everyone else, you can chill. But you are the people that I'm making this for. Let's go back. There we go. So, who wants to hear about some stuff that can shortcut their path to material success so they can ponder the purpose of achieving it to begin with? All right. So, we're going to cover 3 things today. This is fresh from this morning, right off the press. Number 1, how making money really works. Number 2, why new stuff is making you poor. Number 3, why better is the way. You're like, that doesn't make sense yet. It will. Said simply, who wants to make lots of money? Funny thing, what you're watching right now is not my original presentation. I actually changed it at the very last minute the night before. I went out to get dessert. A bunch of people from the event were in town going to the place that I was by accident. As soon as I left the frozen yogurt line, which is where I was like, the presentation I have for tomorrow isn't what these people need. And so I spent that night and all morning making an entirely new presentation, which is what you are watching. Who believes that you have to work hard to make money? Who believes that no one can outwork them? You're gonna see where I'm gonna go with this. Well, I'm going to attempt to prove you wrong. The reason this is so important is that all of us claim, or I have heard, who here has seen a guru on the internet say, no one can outwork me? Who has heard people say that on podcasts, make Instagram posts about it, whatever? It actually drives me fucking bananas. And it drives me bananas because it teaches the wrong lesson. So, how can we claim that we work every day and yet we can't even define the word? So how do you define work? The science definition is work equals force times distance. Problem with that is it's not very useful for knowledge workers. Most of us are not actually doing manual labor, not useful. The second way is that you can think about it in terms of inputs of time, right? Like, is that how hard you work? No one can outwork me, I work longer hours. Do you think you're the only person who works 16, 18 hours every day? Like, go to China. I don't even know if anyone in America can say it. I'm being dead serious. So that's why when I see these things, it just drives me fucking nuts. So the problem with that is that many people work all the hours they're awake. And if you suggest working more hours, then you're sleeping less, and I don't think that's a good idea for knowledge workers. So why can no one outwork you again? Right, so everyone's working those hours. So then the next one is like effort. That's how no one can outwork me. No one's gonna try harder than me. So you want participation trophies. Is this how you want your employees to think that they're working hard? I mean, not me. I wouldn't want that. So if it's not force times distance to define what work is, and if it's not the amount of time we're putting into the work that we do, and it's not the effort that we are expending or how hard we try, then what's work? We have to get clear on it, because if that's what we have to do to make money, then we gotta know what we're actually trying to fucking do. So here's Alex's definition. Work equals outputs. Fancy image. Outputs equal volume times leverage. In plain speak, number of times you do something times how much you get out of each time you do it. How do we work faster? Work rate equals that same thing divided by time. Plain speak, output per minute of time. That is how you work faster. Which means that the hardest working man in the world can be objectively measured. That guy is the hardest guy working in the world. In 2022, he had $140 billion in net worth. For context, that's more than Bill Gates did his entire career in 1 year. Think about that for a second. And then the next year, he did the exact same amount again. FYI, that's $2 billion a week. So output divided by time, there's the time, 1 year, there's the output. He's the hardest working guy. So who's gonna be the 2027 champ? Point of me doing this is that I hope it's somebody here. Who would like to be the 2027 champ? All right, let's rock. So if you want to be it, then please pay attention, this will help you. So, how can we get more output? Which in the game of business is enterprise value. It's how much shit is worth. Outputs. The reason I put this one in here is that at a certain point, it's not about how strong the person is. It all depends on how much leverage you have. That's the point of this slide. Now, high or low. Volume times 1,000, the thing's just as long as the other one. Highest, yes. So now that we understand what work is, you can either do more activity or you can do it with more leverage to get more output. Doing more is capped by time and physical ability. How much you get, AKA leverage, is uncapped. No cap. I learned that. Gen Z, there we go. Now, fun fact, Warren Buffett took home $500 million in dividends last year from Coca-Cola as an owner. The CEO took home 50. He spent less time working on Coca-Cola than the CEO did. So, is he working harder? By the definition that we did, yes. More output. We've been playing the game wrong. If you want to outwork your competition, what you really should be doing is out leveraging them. So who gets more done? We got one person who does 100 calls a day, another person who does 100 calls a day. The guy who has more skill. One guy makes 100 calls, another guy makes 100 calls. The guy who's better on the phone gets more output. Okay, let's say they're equal skill. They're working 8 hours a day, making calls. Oh, I forgot to ask the question. Who gets more work done? There's the answer. The guy that has the automated dialer that keeps his talk time the highest. Okay, same skill, same number of hours, and same automated dialer to maximize talk time. Now who gets more work done? The guy who has the best list. Okay, they've got the same list. The same skill, same dialer, 8 hours a day. The guy who's calling to the right season, the right time of day. Who wants to be calling selling shit during December if you're selling physical products? Who wants to sell on Black Friday? Of course, more leverage, same work, more output. Okay, let's say all this stuff's equal. Now who's even? All right, what else do we have? Nice, he actually called it. The guy calling with the better offer. Now we've got the same time of year, same list, same offer, same dialer, equal skill, 8 hours a day. Now who's gonna do it? It's gotta be equal now, right? The guy who recorded his pitch and sent it to 10 million people. Now, to push this even further, what if the guy made 0 calls and didn't do anything? Who makes more against the best caller on earth? The guy who's got a team. He's got 15 dudes on the phone. I don't care how good you are. And if you're like, well, I think I could be 15, you can't be 1,500. I don't care who you are. Leverage. And that guy made 0 calls. I have more people calling for me today while I'm on stage. Leverage. The game is rigged, and you've been playing by rules that do not exist. If you want to make more money, you need to get more for your time. You need more leverage. And this should make sense because we all trade time for money. And I can prove this to you. You spend time every second of your life. You receive money over the time that you are alive. So, money divided by time equals rate of output. We are all paid dollars per hour. The reason I'm specifically saying this to this audience is that y'all get fooled all the fucking time by passive income. It's not passive. It's less active, but it is not binary. It is not active or passive. It's how active is it? So if you make one trade in the stock market, all the time it took you to analyze the deal, and every other deal you decided not to do, and then execute the trade, and then raise the money and do all the other stuff, that is all the time that it took you to do that. Now, after that point, you have increasing returns per unit of time. Is this making sense? The point I'm making here is that time is the thing. We all have the same $24 in our wallet. It's about how we allocate them and what we get back for them, how well we trade. Just said that. There you go. Degrees, all that. So leverage is the difference between what you put in and what you get out. There are fancy definitions for it. This is the best one that I have. And so I said I would cover 3 things. The first one is how making money really works. The answer to that question is leverage. You make more money by trading your time for more shit, more output. The second is why new stuff is making you poor. And this is especially relevant for everyone here. Part of this, again, was inspired by the conversations I was having last night at Yogurtland. So thank you for everybody who showed up for that. This is also how not to get leverage. And I felt compelled to make this because I hope that some of you identify with this, because I would bet that the majority of you are doing this. How not to get leverage. There are 5 pieces to this that I want to break down today. Number 1, uninformed optimism. Number 2 is a story I'll tell you about a construction buddy of mine. Number 3 is something I call the magic wand story. Number 4 is half-built bridges. Number 5 is like all the people at your old job are making more money than you. But yeah, let's keep doing it. So you move to stage 2, which is informed pessimism. You are now aware of the shit that is involved to make the money that you want in this new thing. Now you think, okay, this is probably the worst part. But then time elapses and it's still shitty and you still haven't made money yet. It blows more now because you have invested more time and still have 0. So your actual output to time is lowering, which is why it's so painful, which is where people get into the crisis of meaning. Why the fuck am I doing this? What does money even matter anyways? You know what, I'd be happier if I just spent more time with my kids. You change your goal because you encounter difficulty. And so what happens most times is that people then crash and burn. I'm gonna skip one forward and then I'm gonna come back because I want the visual to work the way I want. Fuck it. Okay, so if you're at the crisis of meaning, this is where most people offshoot. What happens here, where that 4th dot there on the bottom, if I were to cross it out and write uninformed optimism again, that's what most of you do. You find about something cool. Informed pessimism, it kind of sucks. Oh shit, it's way harder than I thought. Uninformed optimism, I'll try something else. And then you do it again and again and again. And the difference between video games and real life, where you face the boss and you can't pass the level until you beat the boss, is that when you die in the video game, you restart a few seconds later. In the game of entrepreneurship, you start years later. This is why people don't progress. They keep fighting the same boss that can't learn the same fucking lesson. They keep losing. And I'm saying this because some of you, I heard at Yogurtland, and I know that that's representative of other people here, you keep fighting the same boss, and the boss is being able to stick with it. Is getting through, in different charts on this, the crisis of meaning is also called the valley of despair, is getting through. From there, you get into informed optimism. You figure out that little thing, you're like, I had to do this one thing and then this started working. And then, you know what, I found out I could clean the list through this tool I found on the internet because I joined this forum and they started doing that. And then all of a sudden my pickup rates tripled, right? Or my response rates tripled, or my throughput on my website went up, whatever it is, right? And so you have to get through that piece. Then you get to informed optimism, and then number 6, you achieve. And then all your friends are like, yo, what are you doing? And you're like, oh, I got this thing. And then all of them come, right? That is where most people start something new, over and over and over again, and they don't learn the lesson. And so this is what their life looks like. Over and over and over and over again. Who here has more than one business in the last 24 months? Be honest. Thank you for being honest, I appreciate it. First thing, it's normal. I had 9 businesses and I was broke. So I say this with the pain of experience. I'm not saying this to be on a pulpit. I'm saying it because the faster you can get through it, the faster you will start making money. You have to beat the boss. Everyone thinks the grass is greener, but the other side's still lined with shit. So, that's why the grass is so green. There's shit everywhere. I have a CFO who's been with us for a long time. She went through all of our exits last year. She's probably almost 60. And she has this saying, she's like, it's all shit. Doesn't matter what business it is, they all got shit. She's Southern. And Suzanne's awesome. But it just always reminds me of this, is that there's always shit. And whenever we're starting something new, we encounter something that we didn't know before, and we're like, oh, this makes this shittier. And then we think, well, are we gonna jump out? No. Well, this is new information. Great, we're more informed. Fantastic. So that is the thing number one that is keeping you poor, uninformed optimism. Number two is a little story I want to tell you. So I was called up probably 2-3 years ago by a guy I knew in high school. We hadn't talked in a while. And he said, hey, I've got this roofing business. I want to scale it. I want to go big. I was like, that's awesome, man. And so he was telling me about the roofing business, and then all of a sudden he says, oh yeah, I mean, we also do some general contracting work. And I was like, okay, why don't you grow the roofing business? He's like, well, don't leave money on the table. Okay. And then this one's gonna sink in for some of you guys. And he was like, I was like, so you've got the roofing, you got the GC stuff. He's like, yeah, that's what I'm doing. He's like, he paused for a second. He's like, well, we also kind of flip houses too. So we like fix them and flip them. We also do the contracting work, but we fix the roof so we just get huge cost. We're vertically integrated. I was like, dude, you're making less than $3 million a year. You're not fucking vertically integrated. You're distracted, right? And he was like, how do I scale? And I was like, just pick one. He's like, what do you mean? I was like, pick one. He's like, why do you think you can't build $1 billion roofing business? Just doing roofing. And just get better at doing roofing. He's like, well, I don't leave money on the table. Who here said they don't leave money on the table? The money you are leaving on the table is the focus that you are not giving to the one thing that matters. 78, 84, 90, 89, 63. On the right, notice the source. Roofing, healthcare software, retail and gas stations, trucking, Little Caesars Pizza, IT. So sexy. The point of this slide is that if you want to build something epic, you have to be able to do the same thing for an extended period of time without convincing yourself you're smarter than you are. Which means, if you wanted to not make money, this is what you should do. Number one, do lots of different things. Number two, do them for short periods of time. Don't stick with it too long, because you might see success. Number three, do not get help, okay? Number four, make all the mistakes on your own. It's the best way to do it. Because otherwise, if you start learning from other people's mistakes, you can move faster, so don't want to do that. When you make a mistake, do it again. Just repeat it. Especially if you're like, I've been here before, do the same thing. Who here knows the definition of learning? I'll tell you. Same condition, different behavior. So if you want to teach someone something and you present them the same condition and they have not changed their behavior, they have not learned. If you came to this workshop this weekend with the intention of learning something, can I get everybody to raise their hand if they had the intention of learning something while they were here? If you go back home and your behavior does not change, you learned nothing. Nothing. Truly took the money and burned it along with losing the output that you lost in the time of here plus travel. So if that definition has been singed into my mind, because if I want to learn something and I have the same condition that's been presented, I have to ask myself, if I do the same thing again, it means I have not learned. And I don't want to play this boss again. So if you do want to make money, you can flip it. You do one thing for a very long period of time, you get help from other people, you observe what other people have been doing, you only make the mistake one time, if you are going to make them, and you always grow and challenge the beliefs that you had and try and answer the question, what do I believe to be true that is not? Because ordinary businesses done for extraordinary time create extraordinary results. Compounding is the thing. Like, it has to compound. If the vehicle you are in right now does not compound with time, then change the vehicle. Get into something that if you stick with it for an extended period of time, it would be unreasonable that you will be poor. That was my construction buddy story. So I had a conversation with a different friend. He had a zillion businesses, like a zillion. I get a spreadsheet for how many businesses he had. And they were all bullshit businesses. They didn't actually make any money. But he had like a logo and a website and like some VA, you know what I mean? Like, it's a business. And he was believing the fallacy of, I'm just gonna wait to see the thing that takes off and then go all in on that. Who here has thought this thought? I get it, I'm gonna focus. I'm just gonna wait, I'm gonna be patient. See which one works out, and then, because I'm a good, statistics guy, I'm gonna go with the winning horse, right? But the reality is that any of them could take off. You could have $1 billion roofing business, you could have $1 billion GC business, you could have $1 billion house flipping business. But You can't have them all. So you gotta focus, you gotta pick one. And the nice thing is, it doesn't really matter which one you pick, but you do need to pick one. The picking is the thing that grows it. The ability to say no is the thing that grows it, not the thing you pick. It's who you are as a consequence of the decision that changes the outcome, not the vehicle. Does that make sense? So how arrogant is it to think that we can do multiple things at once and compete with someone who's spending all their time on that one thing? It's ridiculous, and yet we still do it. And so this is, I love this little cartoon. This guy, he's got all the spinning plates. And this is me with the red hair going to this guy who's hopefully my competitor and handing him more plates. Be like, oh, do you see all that shiny object over there? Here, more plates. Go. I'm just gonna do this one thing. It's my favorite thing in the world. Compete against somebody who's doing lots of things. It's very easy to win. You don't have to do much because you only have to do 1/10 of what they do. So this is what focus really looks like. One thing, all in. You can write that down, you can circle it. One thing, all in. So I asked my friend of mine that had the Excel sheet with all these zillions of questions, right? I said, if I had a magic wand and I ended all your side projects except for one, just one, the one that you think has the most opportunity, the one that's probably making the most money right now that you're not paying attention to because it's boring, because it's old, because you've been doing it a while. He's like, yeah. I was like, do you know what business it is? He's like, yeah. Like, okay. If you ended everything else, because I have a magic wand, so I get to make the rules. Magic wand. They all disappear. I said, how easy would it be to grow that thing? He just looked at me. He was like, really fucking easy. I was like, interesting. And so he's like, but that would be so hard because of insert real reason that no one gives a fuck about. No one cares. But I have to fire that, But I would have to shut down, But I would have to lay off, All the riches you want are on the other side of a few hard conversations. And most people spend the rest of their lives not having them and being poor. But let's say that you're a hardworking, disciplined motherfucker. You get to $100,000 a month. There's a $100,000 a month girl that's an opportunity that is much bigger than the one that you said no to before. And you have to learn to flex the muscle at every level. This is a lesson that I learned the hard way. I started a supplement company when Gym Launch was doing $26 million a year. And rather than say, oh, why don't I just take Gym Launch to 40 next year, I'll start another thing. Gym Launch stayed the same, and then I added another source of revenue that got us to 37, but it was a mistake strategically. I can tell the story, it sounds great. On paper, we sold the company, lots of money, whatever. But like, it was not the right move. And so I had learned how to say no to $1 million opportunity, a 5 million, a 10 million, but I hadn't learned how to say no to a $20 million opportunity when I was making 20 million. And so like the woman in the red dress becomes more seductive, more attractive, the better you get. The more status you get, the hotter the girl you attract, right? And I'm saying this figuratively for entrepreneurs. Does that make sense for everybody who's not into women with red dresses? Okay. Because this is what the woman in the red dress really looks like. Just ready to smash your shit and distract you and spread you thin so that you can't keep your eye on the ball. And then eventually, she spreads you so thin that you don't know how to get out. And it feels like quicksand, because as soon as you put out fires here, there's fires here, there's fires here, fires here. I need more talent. You take the best person from over here to fix that problem, then this thing goes to shit. How do you get out? You gotta cut shit. You gotta eat your ego. You gotta watch your revenue go down so that you can refocus, reconsolidate, bring the troops in. I'm saying this because someone here needs to do this, and I wish I'd fucking heard this from somebody else. I would have avoided a lot of pain. So, how do you become that person who can say no to the woman in the red dress? You do the activities someone with those character traits would do, despite not feeling good about it. So I'll tell you a story that'll drive this home. So Layla and I were on this walk not that long ago, and I said, I was like, I'm so impatient. I need to be more patient, right? And she was like, I don't think you're impatient. I was like, yeah, I am. I fucking hate this. I want this to be faster. I want everything to be bigger, faster, stronger. She's like, yeah, but you're not changing your behavior. Like, you feel that way, but you haven't done anything that's not aligned with the long-term strategic vision. I was like, yeah, but I feel fucking terrible. I want to be like Zen about it. She's like, yeah, but that's not how it works. She's like, patience is about the behaviors we do, not how we feel about behaviors. So who here has heard the quote, Courage is not the absence of fear, but it's action despite fear, right? Patience is not feeling impatient and feeling terrible about waiting, about not jumping on these opportunities. It's about not jumping on the opportunities despite feeling like shit about it and wanting to, right? Loyalty is not necessarily about the fact that your eye doesn't get caught every once in a while, right? Or maybe even feel a desire that you wish you didn't feel. It's about whether you act on it. Because who here would rather have somebody, like, I think you already know where I'm going with this, right? In terms of loyalty, how would you rather, right? You'd rather the person not act on the thought. That is how you gain the trait. And then over time, this is my belief, if you do that enough times, those feelings go away through exposure therapy. Like, you get exposed to this condition over and over again, and eventually you know that you don't die, because that's what it feels like. And so whether it's a loyalty issue, an integrity issue, a courage issue, a focus issue, which is the point of this message today, to become that person, you just start acting like the person who has those beliefs, and you behave in that way, and then it will stink in. 1 minute of the right dress. So, new distractions kill leverage and keep you poor. Focus multiplies it. I said 3 things. Number 1, how making money really works. It all comes down to leverage. Number 2, why making new stuff is making you poor, which means you have to focus. And number 3 is why better is leverage. This is the make money part. Here's the simple approach to growth that we use with our portfolio companies. Better is better than new. Better is leverage. Because remember, leverage is how we get more from what we put in. If you do it better, you get more for what you put in. That is leverage. Examples. If you have call scripts, if you make content, if you have websites that you are building, if you have follow-up sequences, if you have offers, if you do the current thing, you get what you currently have. If you make it better, you will get more from the activities. You can create leverage in your business by being better. And better comes from boring. Most of us solved an emotional need by quitting whatever we were doing to start to become an entrepreneur. And then we had a positive reinforcement from that behavior. And so then we learned that as a way of life. But the problem is that the thing that forced you or gave you that emotional, that decreased your action threshold, thus that you would jump into the next thing, is the very thing that will make you jump out of the opportunity that could become your billion-dollar thing. Does that make sense? You felt uncomfortable in your job, quit your job, you got rewarded. And so you think, oh, when I quit things, I'll get rewarded. But that's the wrong lesson. It only works once. And then you have to unlearn it. And with each level of entrepreneurship, there are lessons like that you have to unlearn the thing that got you there. Better comes from boring. It is not exciting to run your 38th split test on a landing page. It does make you more money. It comes from doing all the shit that you know you should be doing but aren't. And so right now, this is an activity, so this is an active part. Imagine a list of all the stuff you know you should be doing but aren't doing right now within your existing business. Like right now, like top of your head, you know there's some shit that you should be doing in your business. I'm gonna give you 15 seconds. The reason that stuff is so important is because you already know what you need to do. And we come here to get rah-rahed, etc. But the shit is on your desk at home. That is the work that must be done. It needs doing. And most of us know what to do and we don't want to confront it because we want to do something more stimulating and exciting that makes us feel alive, and your business doesn't give a fuck. Better is boring, and better gets you more for what you put in. Better is leverage. Now, imagine who here has a few businesses. It'd be really fucking hard to make that list, wouldn't it? There's too much shit. It's too much stuff to make the business, which means it becomes impossible, which means that's why you have to pick one, because there is so much stuff that has to be done to do one business right. Just do it right. If you do it right, you grow by default. It is a promise. Who here is like, I know I should be doing more email follow-up. I know I should be calling my leads within 5 minutes. Who here thinks that right now? Okay, let me ask a different question. And many of you did raise your hand. Who here calls all their leads within 5 minutes? Okay, like 2 hands. You will triple your sales. Triple. Who wants to triple their fucking business? Triple. But that sounds boring. Sure is. Got to implement a CRM, got to get round robin set up, leads got to come in, you got to figure out how call prioritization works between the team. That's boring. Makes you a shitload of money. That's how it works. Who's going to win? Two different businesses. The guys who got the shit dialed.